Boom, boom. What's up, everybody? VidMe, Steam It, the community, YouTube. We're back with another cryptocurrency quick talk here. Basically, I saw today that basically the market seems like it's going down on everything. Everything seems like it's suffering a little bit, and people are actually in the forums like going crazy, like, oh, got to dump, dump, dump. As you can see here, Bitcoin is now falling below $1,700, with Ethereum following close behind it at 87, and Litecoin as well, not doing so hot, falling below, a little bit below the $30 mark. And I am actually not concerned at all. I feel like that is a good thing. When you have too much growth and surge, I would say surge with everything, as things go up, you kind of want things to slow down, plateau, and then you want it to kind of drop off a little bit. That's what we're seeing right now. And I feel like that is called normalization. I think that everything is normalizing. It's going back, it's correcting itself. And I think that's a good thing. Also, it's a good thing because I want to buy into another cryptocurrency that's going to be coming out later this month. And I want to be able to afford or not spend as much Bitcoin as possible. So Bitcoin going down at this point to a manageable price, to me, would be a good thing. It is ultimately going to surge again. It's not going to ever, I don't think it's probably ever going to fall back to $1,000 or even $1,200 anytime soon. Not this year anyway. I don't see it unless something just absolutely happened or something. I don't see it happening with the trend. But yeah, it's definitely scaring a few people. I noticed people have sold off Litecoin and stuck it into Dash because they think Dash is going to make a jump. Dash was at like over $90 earlier today, but again, it's going down as well. So there are lots of changes happening, and I think the biggest hurdle, or the biggest thing that people tend to get caught up in, is the scramble. This is the scramble right here. This is the I forgot what terms they use, but YOMO and YOLO. People get caught up and they get scared when they think something is going to happen. If they think things are going to drop, then you scare people in the masses. It's kind of like if somebody gets up in a crowd and they just start running. Well, if there's black people there and somebody starts running, the black people will run without asking questions. The white people will stand around and be like, what's going on? What's happening? Why is he running? Bam, you just got shot. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's what happens though with the market is few people run, they scatter. They're like ringers. And everybody else, without even thinking, they just make a move. And that's why I like to stay in it for the long haul. I don't really pay attention so much and read into so much of what the numbers are changing to on a daily basis. I mean, like I said, I would rather slow progress up than just straight rocket ship, because then the big problem with rocket ships are you have to guess when you think the plateau is going to be. Because when you can guess when the plateau is going to be, then you have to guess and be able to sell before it starts dropping back off. And it's stressful, it's difficult, and everybody has their own theories about something, but ultimately, if you heed the course of hold long term, sell when it's good, then you give the cryptocurrency time to not only correct itself, but to mature. There are many things that a cryptocurrency does. What happens with a cryptocurrency, like Ether, for example, from when it first starts to where it is now, and even like Litecoin and stuff like that, you can see their growth, especially with segwit coming in. I mean, things are changing. for the better. Sometimes when you have an ICO that comes out, or they may come in and it's not worth much of a damn because the project isn't really, it's just getting off the ground. It's different when you're putting theory on paper and you're putting it in use. You may realize that some of that theory on paper that makes sense doesn't really translate very well into the physical. So they have to figure out how to make things work when you have like a new ICO. And so there's a lot of expectations that people have, and so you have to think about it. I mean, it's literally like watching a rocket take off, right? We're all anticipating, we're all wanting to know what's going to happen, hoping for success. And we see all the preparation going into it. We're seeing the prep, and then it gets ready for launch. And when it launches, that thing starts to get off the ground. It starts to lift off the ground. It's shaking, and everybody is watching this. And you can imagine this, for example, a room full of people who have invested in this. You'll start seeing everybody's faces. They're turning colors. Some are looking like they're gonna puke. Some are frenzied. Some are ecstatic. Some are angry. You don't know, because people's emotions run so high with these cryptocurrencies. When they're starting out and stuff like that, everybody's expecting the most, and then sometimes people can just be like, you know what? No, it's too shaky, man. I'm bailing, and then they dump, and then the stock goes down, and then everybody's like, oh shoot, the stock's going down, I better dump too, and then you got the other people that are like, those fools are idiots. They can dump. I'm just gonna buy even more, and so you just got to kind of figure out your own style before you invest in a certain crypto. Just look into it and see if it's something that you would stand behind. There's a big difference between how we look at the token or the coin versus what the coin represents. Yesterday I talked a little bit about it. Ethereum, for example, is in itself a platform, a decentralized platform for decentralized apps. What does that mean? Well, that means basically Ethereum is what I just said, but imagine, for example, like what's a good one? Facebook, Instagram, or something. You know what I mean? Like Twitter. How about Twitter? Twitter is centralized, so I have to log in to Twitter from my browser or my phone into the centralized entity, which is Twitter. And if I want to send a message to you, then my message then has to go through Twitter to be accepted and then passed on to you. In a decentralized platform, on a platform with a decentralized app, let's say Twitter was there, it wasn't centralized. I would be able to send my message directly to you without a middleman, without an intermediary going between us to make sure it's good. So like if you were advertising or something, the advertiser would be able to pay you right away up front, pay you, the creator, up front for advertising versus going through Twitter, then going through you for payout. They'll be able to just go straight through you. There's no middleman. Everybody basically has stock in that platform or in that app for that platform. So it's creating an updated version of what we're living now, especially with like internet now and how it started versus how it is now. Everything that we have now is centralized. It's so centralized. Everything that we do. Think about all the things, all the places that you go to or that you use for business or even entertainment. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, the banks that you use when you get paid. Those are centralized, basically markets that you have to go through in order to communicate with someone else. That's cryptocurrency basically takes out that intermediary. It takes it out. So it's decentralized. it doesn't have to go through a bank to authenticate itself or to be a transaction. It's simply a mechanism set in place that when you send money or send a transaction or send a code or send anything, it's verified within itself that that's what's happening. So it's really, really cool. It's extremely, extremely kind of difficult to really explain and to understand right away, especially to, the average Joe. I mean, explaining the ways of technology now to an older generation person, like say my great grandpa or something, to them, it just seems so far-fetched. They can't get it. But it's really easy to get if you understand what it is. Like I just said, there are people within the crypto sphere who participate who have completely, I wouldn't say they both have completely different motives, but there are people who really don't care much for the project itself. For example, like Bitcoin or Ethereum, or even Litecoin, like they don't really care for the project itself and what it stands for. So I just want to be able to come in as an investor or somebody who's looking to make money. I just want to come in, know enough about the project, right? And say, okay, they're trying to do this. This is basically what it is. It looks like it's going to actually be a good business model to actually succeed. What's my return going to look like? What's my return going to look like? What's it probably going to look like? And so there's people that come in and say, okay, well, I'm going to trust the people who made the project to do what they're supposed to do. I just want to make my money. And all they want to do is invest, and they're looking at the numbers. So people that are obsessed with the tokens or the coins, those are people who are just looking at the profit. There are others who look at the project and they stand wholly behind a project, or they make a decision of investment based on the intricacies of a project. So, for example, there's another project coming out later this month that I've been talking about. It's called Tezos. And, they're coming in to basically kind of do what Ethereum is doing, but better. Will it succeed? We don't know. I mean, nobody really knows. It's a gamble, but you have to look at the intricacies of the project to figure out what they're doing, how it could translate correctly and be successful. And then you have to decide, will it be successful? Because it's a gamble. So, but some people you'll see on the forums when they're asking about Tezos, for example, they're looking, and some people just want to know, is there going to be a cap? Is there going to be, how many are going to be given away and how long is it running? And they're asking questions that are only dealing with gain, financial gain. They don't care about the actual project. They just want to know how they can get in and, what I'm saying, what they need to do to get in. And that's really dangerous, because when you start chasing coins, when you start chasing numbers, it could be a really overwhelming and difficult thing to bounce back from, especially if you invest a lot of money. So I try to invest specifically on things that I feel are going to be successful in the long run, and thus far I have not made any mistakes. I have had loss or slow gains, I guess. I mean, like I said, like if you look at Bitcoin, I mean, it goes up, it comes down, it goes up, it comes down. It's a wave. Nothing goes all the way up because if it goes all the way up, eventually, once it reaches its plateau, it has to come all the way back down. So you want something that has a normal range of motion, a normal climb. You don't want something too steep, because if it's too steep, then you need to start asking yourself some questions about the market. What's going on? Is somebody pulling some bullshit? Like, it doesn't seem right. And so, like I said, make sure that you take a look at everything that you do before you do it. I stack slow, and I'm wanting to change that here in the near future, but I want to get some investment, some good investment before things start to really take off. So with some of these cryptocurrencies. So definitely, if you like the video, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Ask any questions, leave comments, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.